Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2707A Game 1. Earth is the center of the universe, protected by Kagago's will. Don't you know this better than anyone else? Ling glanced at Zhang Yi. Judging from the rules we now understand, Kagago will not easily allow such an obvious variable to smash the entire test site. Even if the starry sky corridor were to collide with it, it would most likely be deflected at some point. Zhou Core pinched her own nipple. This is very similar to the experiments we do. If you want to cultivate a specific bacterial group, you must remove the contaminants from the petri dish in time. Zhang Yi asked Ling, so that means everything's all right? Ling glanced at him. Overall, everything's fine. But it's only a few isolated incidents, so it's hard to say for sure. Zhang Yi was speechless. He understood the meaning expressed in Ling's words. The creator might allow the star corridor to destroy the entire solar system testing ground, but it wouldn't care at all if a few humans died. The creator loves the creation of humankind, but he does not care about any single human being. This humankind refers to all of humanity across 6 generations. We can think of it in a positive light. It's definitely a good thing. Zhang Yi rubbed his forehead. Within the solar system, there exist many civilizations and races far more powerful than their Huashu kingdom. For example, the Nightmare Clan, the Abyss Clan, and even the Dragon Clan. The Dragon race, in particular, possesses the ancient Dragon Fushi, who has lived for hundreds of millions of years. They have a more advanced technological civilization than the Huashu Kingdom and a stronger power than Zhang Yi. Therefore, when such a crisis breaks out, they also have better strategies to deal with it. Even they ran away, which means the problem must be huge. I understand. This is both a challenge and an opportunity. If used properly, it can bring us tremendous benefits. Zhang Yi rubbed his temples and said casually. Yang Xinxin immediately understood Zhang Yi's meaning. You mean, we need to have less confidence than other ethnic groups? That's right. It's the information gap. They saw the true face of the starry sky corridor, the detached mental entities within it, and the density of death there. What will other races see? Zhang Yi asked with a smile. They will only see an immense cosmic spectacle, moving toward the center of the universe with incredible force. Yang Xinxin's lips curled up slightly. Furthermore, we should subtly spread the word, letting them know. Within the starry sky corridor lies the ultimate treasure left behind by the Star Clan, but it is also a shortcut to breaking through genetic locks and entering the Omega realm. And then we hid to the side and watched them jump in,
she said softly.
Every civilization that has even a slight understanding of the star race knows very well how terrifying that era was. They would also understand that the Star Clan must have left behind many things before the Creator unleashed divine punishment upon them. If you add a little credible evidence, such as observations of Jaman fragments or lost tablets in the land of the riverbank over the years, the gimmick will be complete. Zhang Yi tapped the armrest of the chair lightly with his knuckles, a smile of approval on his face. You really are like a tapeworm in my belly. You understand it instantly. Fatty Sue blinked. Big brother, are you planning to use the starry sky corridor as a giant meat grinder? To slaughter those distant civilizations that pose no threat to us? With such a good opportunity, why not take advantage of it? Zhang Yi and LeBron James. Where does our greatest pressure come from right now? They come from those races that watched us rise and wished for our annihilation. When there are no external threats on Earth, eliminating them is their biggest thought. However, as soon as the star corridor arrives, everyone will be watching it. If you want to survive, you'll stay far away. If you want to gamble your life, you'll rush in. Zhang Yi laughed as he spoke. He rubbed his back, his face showing a familiar expression, the look of someone about to set a trap for someone else. What we need to do is to tell them the story in advance. A story? What story? You've switched careers to become a novelist, Lauda. refers to, which is the story of the Star Clan. Zhang Yi rolled her eyes. He then pointed in the air, and a new editing window appeared. There is already a lost board on the shore of the river, and a translation of the Jamin script they gave us. After we go back, if we can also take down the database of the Zeepan Kingdom, we will be able to put together a relatively complete set of information on the Star Clan's heritage. They packaged it as a half-true, half-false legend. His eyes lit up, cunning like a fox, while also concealing a chilling, killing intent. For example, before the Star race failed in their attempt to open up a new universe, they compressed their entire civilization into a star corridor, waiting for the next batch of qualified civilizations to inherit it. Only those races that are brave enough, powerful enough, and crazy enough are worthy to enter and obtain the great legacy of the Star Clan. It even contains the secrets to achieving Omega status. Tell me, who could resist such temptation? Zhang Yi's face was full of a dangerous smile. It sounds like you're capable of anything. Fatty Su couldn't help but utter a sarcastic remark. Zhang Yi is still the same Zhang Yi. Show mercy to those enemies and potential enemies who threaten our survival. Zhang Yi stalled. What we want to do is leave them in the real slaughterhouse and rename it the trial ground. He paused, then added another sentence. And let's give it an even more impressive name, like the Omega Ladder or something. A strange silence fell over the bridge. It's quite like the kind of word that fraudulent religions like to use. Fatty Su muttered to himself. But it does sound really catchy. The more it sounds like a fraudulent religion, the better. Zhang Yi, however, acted as if it were perfectly natural. A true madman's blood pressure would spike upon hearing such a word, and he'd be so filled with hatred that he'd rush in immediately. Of all the races and superhumans, which one wants to become a transcendent and eternal being? Once you become an Omega, you possess the power to defy the rules of the Creator, which is almost godlike. As long as such temptations are offered, even knowing the risk of death, many people will still rush to them. That's human nature. Zhang Yi closed his eyes and quickly went over the plan in his mind. The Star Corridor arrived near the solar system 2 years later. They released the story of the Omega Ladder a year in advance. Coupled with edited video evidence and fragmented information about the Kingdom of Zeepan, the entire universe believed that the ultimate opportunity left behind by the Star Clan was hidden there. At that time, everyone will think they have the secret. Everyone thinks they're among the civilized people qualified to climb the ladder. Only their dreamer ship knew what was actually there. Chapter 27:08A Game 2. Lure and Kill the Heroes. Zhang Yi slowly uttered 4 words. Let them willingly fall into our trap. No matter how many ancient races powerful beings we can kill, as long as we reduce one threat on Earth, our chances of survival will increase. As for the threat posed by the resurgence of the Druk gods someday in the future, that's an unknown. Nobody knows exactly when it will end. The ancient race is eyeing the Huashu kingdom with covetous intent, and the situation is already imminent. Now, he was able to take down 5 races with knight-level warriors. What if there are even stronger races threatening them? The protection afforded by the dragon race is limitless, and once all races know that he possesses Ling's human form, some will inevitably have designs on him. Therefore, Zhang Yi led them into the Starry Sky Corridor. Even if we can't wipe out the ideal number of powerful enemies, we can still buy some time, preventing them from dealing with the Huashu kingdom. He opened his eyes, and the coldness in them was very obvious. This is an open scheme. Even if they know there's danger there, they'll still jump in. Zhang Yi smiled. The universe is so chaotic, someone has to be responsible for cleaning it up. In the past, the Star Clan killed Drucker. Now let the Star Clan leave behind their garbage and help them sift through this generation of the universe. He stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. The starry corridor slowly rotates in the distance, like a blue eye lying in the darkness. It seems so close, but it's actually millions of kilometers away, yet it's still so clear. The action plan is set. Zhang Yi spoke, his gaze cold as he gave instructions to everyone. The first step is to return to Earth and then launch a surprise attack on Zeepin Kingdom without declaring war. Obtain their complete Jamin records and observation files. The second step is to release the video of the 5 tribes' failed plot to kill the Star Clan and incidentally expose some information about the Star Clan's ruins. This will divert the attention of other ancient civilizations. As for the third step, Zhang Yi's eyes gleamed with excitement, a mixture of thrill and exhilaration from scheming for the world. When the starry sky corridor gets closer to the solar system, we'll add fuel to the fire and push this false concept of the Omega Staircase to all planets. And what about you? Is there anything you need to do? Uncle Yu crossed his arms and asked in a deep voice, his eyes filled with fighting spirit. To storm the Japanese archipelago was a long-held dream of this retired veteran. Zhang Yi's gaze swept over everyone. The journey still has about 6 months left. We must not slack off in any way, but continuously improve our skills and explore our potential. You are required to immediately enter combat readiness status after the spaceship arrives in the solar system, because the moment we landed on Earth, the war of annihilation began. Great. Finally, we have a chance to shine. Su Peng clenched his fist, a deliberately profound sneer appearing on his face. It's unclear who he was imitating. Zhang Yi nodded and smiled approvingly. Fatty has made great progress recently. I'll let you be the vanguard and be the first to storm into Takamagara. Su Peng's cold smile didn't last even a second. Actually, as you all know, I'm not someone who craves empty fame. Joking aside, everyone was full of energy and quickly threw themselves into training. Earth Star, on the shore of the East Sea. The once vibrant Tokyo metropolitan area is now covered by thick ice and snow, and the once bustling Tokyo metropolitan area has been transformed into a desolate, icy wasteland. However, deep within these ruins, on the legendary Takamagara, a magnificent city that defies all logic stands amidst the frigid winds of the polar night. This is the main camp of the Zeepin clan, and also the most mysterious and strictly guarded forbidden area in the entire East Sea region. The architectural style presents an extremely bizarre and eerie aesthetic. The giant vermilion torii gate, forged from some unknown deep-sea alloy, stands hundreds of meters tall at the entrance. Its surface is shimmering with a deep blue energy, as if connecting the mortal world with the underworld. The ancient monastery courtyard, with its layered shrine eaves, blends seamlessly with ultra-modern skyscrapers. Holographic cherry blossoms drifted eternally through the void, landing on the shoulders of patrolling guards dressed in hunting robes, but with semi-mechanical faces. Cold steel and eerie Shinto runes intertwine to create a cyberpunk-style, demonic cave where 100 ghosts coexist. At the highest point of Takamagara stands the 3 shrines, symbolizing supreme power and creation. The temple, constructed entirely of obsidian-like material, floats in midair, overlooking the busy, ant-like swarm of mutated rats below. Deep within the temple, on the colossal throne, a figure appeared restless. He was a powerful member of the Rat clan, dressed in a magnificent black divine robe. Beneath his bamboo hat, his eyes exuded an unapproachable majesty, with a faint glint of brilliance in them, inspiring awe and fear. He is the only supreme ruler of the Zeepin clan, and the only surviving member of the 3 giants, Gao Yuchan Sugami. As for the other 2, who were once unparalleled rulers, they had long since turned into withered bones and dust in their battles with that human over the years. Takamura Suga's fingers unconsciously tapped the armrest, the rhythmic tap-tap sound echoing in the empty hall, revealing his inner anxiety. His gaze was fixed on the giant astronomical observation mirror in the center of the palace, as if he wanted to see through the layers of air and snow to the distant and profound universe. It's been a year. Takayuki Suga's hoarse voice rolled in his throat, with a hint of barely concealed trembling. A full year has passed since the 5-race Alliance fleet set sail. According to the original plan, they should have arrived at that coordinate 6 months ago and sent back news of the demon's death 3 months ago. Right now, the starry sky is deathly silent, with no signals returning. Even with encrypted communication, there isn't a single byte of fluctuation. A strange, bone-chilling cold crept up his spine. He was no stranger to this feeling. Many years ago, when he faced that human named Zhang Yi, he had felt the same tremor. That's the instinctive intuition that arises when prey is targeted by a predator. Lord, you are overthinking it. A slippery, aged yet sinister voice came from the shadows of the throne. An elderly man with an enormous head and an extremely exaggeratedly shaped back of his head slowly walked out. He wore a kimono stained with oil and walked silently, as if his feet were stepping not on the floor, but on some kind of viscous liquid. He is the strategist of the Annihilation, the night parade of 100 demons, and currently the most capable commander of the Takamisu Higanbana. Chapter 2709 Direct Hit 1. The cunning glint in the sly demon's cloudy little eyes. He bowed slightly, his face plastered with a fawning yet confident smile. Although that chaos has some tricks up his sleeve, he is, after all, just a native who has just stepped into the interstellar realm. This time, the 5 major races have gone to great lengths to kill him. And speaking of that heavily armed combined fleet, just the powerful accompanying warriors alone are enough to sweep through the entire Huashu kingdom 10 times over. Moreover, we still have that most perfect trump card, the Starry Sky Corridor. Standing next to Nurera Hyan, a tall figure also let out a deep, muffled growl. It was a half-human, half-beast monster, covered in black hair like steel needles, with bared fangs and bloodshot eyes. It was the dog god in charge of slaying. That's right. Inagami's voice was like thunder, making the air inside the hall buzz. That idiot will definitely be lured into the Star Corridor. That's a forbidden area that even our race treats with extreme caution. Without a star map to guide you, going in is certain death. Even if he got lucky and didn't get in, he would still be blasted to smithereens by the 5 major races in the other side. My lord, you overestimate that human. That's right. A mere 6th generation of humans, they're just relying on good luck. The first sound came from above. That was a proud figure with wings on its back, a thick, long red nose, and holding a round fan, the Great Tengu. He hovered in midair, looking down at everything with a tone full of contempt for the 6th generation of humans. Our plan is flawless. We'll use the characteristics of the Starry Sky Corridor to create a deadly trap. This is an open strategy. He was greedy, so he died. He was greedy too, and he would die even if surrounded. No matter how you look at it, that chaos has now become cosmic dust. So the reason no news has been sent back is probably because the fleets of the 5 major races are dividing up his legacy, or because a cosmic geomagnetic storm is interfering with signal transmission. S words were logically sound and full of confidence. In order to achieve a decisive victory over Zhang Yi, they had been planning for a long time and had committed nearly half of the troops from the 5 major clans to the war. In this deadly predicament, they imagined what methods Zhang Yi might use to avoid a fatal end. As Takamikazu Hikami listened to his subordinate's analysis, his tightly furrowed brows relaxed slightly. Reason told him that the sly devils were right. That was a certain death trap. Even if he were trapped in it, there would be absolutely no chance of survival. Maybe I was just too nervous. Takamiya Sumihiko took a deep breath, trying to calm her wildly beating heart. He slowly leaned back on the throne and gave a self-deprecating bitter laugh. Ever since the battle at the All Races Conference, that man's shadow has haunted me like a nightmare. It seems that only by seeing his corpse with my own eyes can I truly feel at ease. Rest assured, my lord, when the 5 great clans return in triumph, it will be time for our Zeepin clan to march west and crush the Huashu kingdom. The cunning demon seized the opportunity to speak, his eyes gleaming with a greedy green light. At that time, the entire East Asia will submit to your feet. However, in this harmonious relationship between ruler and subject, they envisioned a wonderful future together. Rumble. An indescribable, terrifying pressure descended from the sky without warning. There were no warnings regarding any energy fluctuations. Even the most advanced radar system in Takamagara didn't issue a single alarm. But this oppressive force was so real, so heavy. It was as if the entire sky had suddenly collapsed, pressing heavily on everyone's hearts. The earth trembled violently, and the entire Neon Peninsula shook as if a magnitude 10 earthquake had suddenly struck. The storm roared, and the coastline tremors caused towering waves to surge. Even as Takamagara trembled, the high-ranking members of the Rat clan in the temple staggered and were in a sorry state. "What's going on?" Takamikazuchi Hikami suddenly sprang up from his throne. The sense of security that had just been suppressed suddenly exploded tenfold, 100-fold, making the hairs on his body stand on end. The light inside the main hall suddenly dimmed. Is merely the main hall. The sky above the entire Takamagara and the entire Neon Islands, which was originally dim but sparkling with stars, was now completely obscured by some unimaginably large object. It was pure darkness, deeper than the polar night, darker than the abyss. All the rats, whether patrolling the streets or working in the underground factory, raised their heads in terror and let out piercing screams. In their field of vision, a colossal super battleship, as large as a mountain or a mobile city, was silently descending from the clouds. That means landing. That was a crushing defeat. What is that? The great Tengu stared in horror, his hand holding a fan that fell to the ground with a thud. As the overlord of the sky, he had never seen such a massive flying creation before. It was something that no Earth civilization could possibly create. That's the dreamer? Takamiya Sumihiko's voice had changed. It was a scream born of extreme fear. It's him. He's back. The demon is back.
He's not dead.
He's actually alive. How could he be alive? His voice trailed off. That massive, black warship had made contact with the highest level of defense in Takamagara. That is the Tenawato energy shield, powered by hundreds of nuclear reactors and said to be able to withstand attacks from night-level energy entities. Logically, warships should first use their main guns to blast open the shields or infiltrate through electronic warfare. But this warship did not. With an arrogance and domineering air that instilled despair, it didn't even slow down before crashing straight and hard into them. Snap! A sharp, ear-piercing sound instantly reverberated throughout the entire archipelago. It was as if the sky had shattered, and the sound pierced the eardrums of countless rats. That blue energy barrier, strong enough to withstand tens of thousands of tons of energy, was as fragile as a thin, newly formed ice shell in front of this interstellar warship from a higher level of civilization. The warship's jet-black bow, resembling the scythe of death, easily pierced the shields. Immediately afterwards, the massive hull, carrying the inertia of hundreds of millions of tons of mass, relentlessly crushed down. The energy shield shattered. Countless blue energy fragments fell like a beautiful, poignant rain of light, but this rain brought only destruction. As the shield shattered, the entire island of Takamagara began to tremble violently. The earth cracked, tall buildings collapsed, and the Kiyoshi Shrine and Torii gates were reduced to rubble in an instant. Those rats living at the bottom of the river didn't even have time to escape before they were crushed to the ground. Plop, plop, turning into puddles of colorful liquid. Chapter 27:10 Direct Hit 2. The terrifying air pressure generated by the descent of the warship alone pinned the charging rats to the ground, easily crushing them into pools of flesh and blood. Immediately afterwards, the shadow of the ship's hull, as if the sky were collapsing, covered them. Grumble. The piercing screams stopped abruptly as soon as they began. Thousands upon thousands of rats, along with the houses and streets of the local people, were instantly crushed into a bloody pulp by the warship's indestructible alloy armor. Blood and severed limbs exploded in the ruins, staining the pristine white ice field red, but were instantly evaporated by the high-temperature blast waves from the warship's engines. This was a one-sided massacre, a naked crushing of a lower civilization by a higher one.
Right now.
Inside the Dreamer warship that brought annihilation to the Zeepin clan. Inside the control room, a huge holographic screen displayed the horrific scene below from every angle. Those once invincible defensive structures crumbled like paper, and those hideous monsters turned into mincemeat in despair. Lu Karen was still holding a half-finished energy drink. She stood by the porthole, looking down at the hellish scene below, a smirk playing on her lips, a look of disdain and contempt typical of tech geeks. "Tsh, this level of defense is as thin as paper." Lu Karen shook her head and casually threw the empty bottle into the trash can, making a crisp sound. "This kind of low-level one-way energy shield has a loose structure, like the model I made when I was in elementary school. There's not even a need to use the secondary guns of a warship, let alone the cannons." She turned around, looked at Zhang Yi, who was standing calmly to the side, shrugged and smiled. "Brother Zhang Yi, it seems we overestimated them. With this level of defense, we can just use physical collision mode to crush them. It saves time and effort, and we can even help level the ground." This was a long-planned, undeclared war. Utilizing the characteristics of space travel and the Dreamer's current super-stealth technology, before the Dreamer lands in Takamagara, the Zeepan Kingdom will be completely unable to detect anything, let alone defend against it. But even if they take some precautions, it won't make much difference in reality. After all, Tianhai City's level of civilization has long surpassed that of Zeepan Kingdom. Zhang Yi stood with his hands behind his back, his gaze fixed on the collapsing Takamagara below, his eyes devoid of any pity. "Then let's just crush it," Zhang Yi said calmly. "Completely flatten this nest that these rats are so proud of. I want to show Takamiyasu Higanbana what true divine punishment is." "Receive." Lu Karen gave a playful salute, then casually issued the order. "Block the entire continent. Don't let them leak any information." A massive electronic blockade quickly swept across the entire Japanese archipelago, completely paralyzing information flow. The cold electronic signals collided in the void, but it was like shouting in the deep sea, without even a trace of echo. Not to mention seeking help from the outside world. Even communication between the people themselves has become a problem, rendering them completely blind and deaf. Inside the Takamagara shrine, Takamisu Hikami tightly gripped the communicator in her hand, attempted to contact the few deep-sea outposts closest to the Neon Islands, and even went to great lengths to try to contact the other 4 ancient civilizations of the Alliance, but the responses they received were nothing but a desperate busy tone. Their signals couldn't even reach each other, even when they were right next to each other, instantly transporting them back to the primitive era. "How could this happen? Our signal has been cut off." Takamikami Sumihiko's withered old face twisted instantly, and the starlight in his eyes trembled violently with fear. "No, it's not just a cutoff. It's a physical blockade across the entire frequency band. That chaos, it not only brought back the warship, but also electronic warfare equipment far exceeding the technological level of planet." In that instant, a chilling, soul-freezing conjecture burrowed into my mind like a venomous snake. Why has the combined fleet of the 5 major races disappeared without a trace? Why was Zhang Yi able to return in a perfectly intact super battleship? Why has even the so-called all-knowing and all-powerful Tengu Minakata god completely disappeared? We lost. We actually lost. Takamiyasu Hyjin staggered backward and slumped onto the throne that symbolized supreme power, her voice hoarse, as if 2 rough pieces of sandpaper were rubbing together. "The expeditionary force is probably completely wiped out. That was an invincible fleet that assembled the elite forces of 5 great civilizations. And it was all wiped out by this monstrous creature?" An unprecedented sense of terror instantly overwhelmed her reason. But after all, he was a tyrant who had ruled the Zeepan clan for countless years. After the extreme fear, what surged up was hysterical madness. Since there's no escape and no way to get help, let's drag the enemy down to jail with us. "Pass on my command." Takamikazuchi Higanbana stood up, his originally hunched body now exuding a terrifying ferocity, his eyes bloodshot, like a wild beast ready to devour its prey. "Activate the ultimate jade-shattering plan. All members of the Rat clan, regardless of age, take up arms. Awaken the army of 100 demons. Even if we have to bite them with our teeth or pile up corpses, we must stop that damned warship." We must avenge our fallen kin. We must let those arrogant bastards know that the land of Zeepin Kingdom is watered with blood. The powerful members of the rat clan beneath him responded with bloodshot eyes and low growls.
Yes.
Better to die a glorious death than live a shameful life. We must destroy all invaders, even if it means using our own bones as swords. With this crazy order issued, the entire Japanese archipelago erupted in chaos. Below, in the ruined city that had been half crushed by the Dreamer, countless air raid shelter entrances were opened. A dense, overwhelming tide of rat warriors surged forth. The rats have long lost their rationality as intelligent beings. Under the dual influence of drugs and brainwashing, these rats have bloodshot eyes, white cloth strips with the words, "Victory is certain," tied to their heads, and they wave simple kinetic rifles in their hands. Some civilians even use sharpened steel pipes. On board! On board! The piercing roars coalesced into a murky wave of sound, causing the surrounding snow to fall in a soft rustling. Hundreds of thousands of rats, like a tireless horde of zombies, trampled over the corpses of their companions, braving the bitter cold and howling winds, and launched a suicidal charge toward the black behemoth hovering low in the sky. What an ugly and disgusting scene. Zhang Yi looked down at everything from his elevated position and made a calm comment.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.